All right, guys, so the Waukesha Christmas Parade attacker, Mr. Darrell Brooks, and his family are speaking out for the first time after Mr. Darrell Brooks was arrested and charged with the murder of those innocent people who were participating in the parade that day, when he got into an SUV and proceeded to try to run as many people over as possible. Now, despite the fact that everybody with a brain knows that this was intentional, right? It was an intentional act of violence that, in my opinion, should be investigated as a hate crime, considering his history of the things that he said, right? Particularly about white people, and maybe even a case of domestic terrorism, right? And regardless, he should be punished to the full extent of the law, and there are absolutely no excuses for this type of behavior, and we should have zero tolerance for this, period. But we live in a world where personal responsibility is simply non-existent. So, unsurprisingly, Mr. Brooks is playing the victim card, and it seems to me like his mother is low-key making excuses for his behavior. Take a look.
We learned more about the victims of that tragedy. We're also learning more about the man arrested and charged for running over several people in Waukesha, killing 6 of them.
The suspect and his mother are both speaking out for the first time on the tragedy. Fox 6's Angelica Sanchez is live tonight with her comments. Angie?
Well, the charges against Darrell Brooks each carry a life sentence. We've learned that the vehicle used in the attack belonged to his mother. He was also driving with a suspended license. Tonight, she is making her first public statements on the incident. Brooks himself is also speaking out. A horrific crime sent shockwaves around the world. 6 innocent people killed and 60 others injured when 39-year-old Darrell Brooks plowed through Waukesha's annual Christmas parade. On Wednesday, Brooks spoke out for the first time from his jail cell to Fox News Digital, telling 2 reporters he was being dehumanized and demonized. He said his mother had not visited him, but the two are very close. Days before the attack, Brooks was arrested in Milwaukee County for attempting to run over the mother of his child. He was released on a $1,000 bail. DA John Chisholm calling the amount inappropriately low. The bail amount is under investigation. Fox 6 has learned Brooks was driving with a suspended license, and the SUV used in both attacks is owned by his mother, Dawn Woods. She is also the one who bailed him out. Multiple efforts to speak with her have been unsuccessful. According to published reports, Woods sent a letter to some media outlets asking for space while also giving her condolences to the families of those killed and injured. She expressed sadness, saying her family's hearts are torn to pieces over what happened. She says her son suffered from mental illness all his life. She goes on to say the system is broken. She says she is not making excuses, but her family believes what happened was a result of her son not having the help and resources he needed. She does not address the low bail amount, the extent of his previous crimes, or him driving her vehicle with a suspended license. Now, Brooks is being held on a $5 million bond in Waukesha County. In his interview with Fox Digital, he did not give a motive for his actions. Reporting live in Milwaukee County tonight, Angelica Sanchez, Fox 6 News.
All right, Angelica, thank you.
All right, guys, so is there any surprise there that Mr. Darrell Brooks is playing the victim card, right? Saying that he feels demonized and dehumanized, and I'm just like, how else are you supposed to feel? Right? Yeah, that's exactly how you're supposed to feel, right? That's exactly how you're supposed to feel in a sane society, okay? When criminals, thugs, when bad people do things like try to run over people at a Christmas parade, right? Kids and grandmas, and they get arrested and put in jail, and society looks at that person and say, you're a bad person. We're going to demonize you, right? And we're going to make an example out of you. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work, right? So yes, that's exactly how you're supposed to feel. And in a sane society, nobody should have any sympathy for people like him who commit these types of crimes, right? So while he's boohoo whining and crying in court, feeling bad and all this, no. You don't get any sympathy, because if you really felt that way, you should have thought about that before you committed the crime that you committed. And this is especially true in this guy's case, because in my opinion, considering the things that he has put out here on social media in the past, particularly about knocking out white people, knocking out old white folks, right? Committing acts of violence against white people. It seems to me that, again, what he was doing was intentional. He thought about it, right? And then he actually went and committed an act of violence that he had talked about committing on social media. So, I mean, again, he's playing the victim card here, but I'm like, no, you're not a victim. What's happening to you is actually what's supposed to happen to people like you, right? That's what's supposed to happen. And the sad part about this is not even what he's saying, because he's supposed to feel the way he's supposed to feel, but it's his mother coming out here and saying, well, I'm not making excuses, but I feel like society failed him. And I'm like, no, society didn't fail him. You failed him. Because his mother is the person that got him out of jail, bailed him out of jail on $1,000 bond after he allegedly tried to run over his baby mama, right? So he tried to run over the mother of his child, and then you went and got him out of jail? So to a certain extent, you know, she's talking about the justice system. She's actually kind of right when I think about it, in the sense that, yeah, they failed him by posting a bond so low that you could bail him out, but they didn't fail him in the sense that they should take responsibility for him committing these acts in the first place, right? That's not the criminal justice system's fault that he's out there doing that he's displaying this type of bad behavior, right? If anything, that falls back on his upbringing, right? And who raised him? You raised him, okay? Where's this man's father? I couldn't find any information on this man's father, right? Couldn't find no information on him. Now, this guy's pushing 40. Who knows? Maybe his father passed away. But if I was a betting man, I would probably bet that he probably wasn't raised with a strong male figure in the household to show him how to be a man, right? How to be a productive citizen in society, okay? It seems like he acts out of emotion, right? Almost as if he was raised in a household with a single mother, right? So don't sit here and try to play the, oh, well, it's the criminal justice system's fault and, you know, he has a mental illness. No, I don't want to hear that. Everybody that commits these type of crimes are not mentally ill. There are some people out there that are just bad people, right? You're just a bad person, okay? Because to me, it seems like this person has marinated on these thoughts. These are things that he's thought about before, and it seems to me that one day he decided to act on it. Possibly could be a result of what happened with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We don't know all that information yet. I am purely speculating, but I'm just saying. That's what it kind of seems like to me. So I don't think the man's mentally ill. I think he knew what he was doing. Again, this is coming from somebody who I definitely think that as a society, we should focus more on mental health, because there are mentally ill people out there. But I'm sick and tired of hearing that as an excuse when these people commit these acts of violence and terror. Sometimes these people just were not raised correctly, or they're just bad people, right? Sometimes that's it. And there are some of them that are actually mentally ill. So she's saying she's not making excuses for him, but this to me sounds like an excuse. No, you're not taking responsibility. He ain't really trying to take responsibility. And again, while this guy is talking about feeling dehumanized and demonized, it's like, bro, you're not even getting the full brunt of what you actually should be getting. Because we have the mainstream liberal media outlets like CNN running headlines in which they're basically trying to blame the SUV on the incident, right? As if the SUV snapped and went mad and drove itself through those people at that parade, right? They're not even trying to use the guy's name. They're not trying to use the guy's race or anything, right? They're trying to blame the SUV. And we all know how the mainstream liberal media would be talking about this if the roles were reversed. If this was a white person that committed an act like this, let's say against a Black Lives Matter protester or something like that, or a protest, we all know the mainstream liberal media will be all on it. We never hear the end of it, right? And we all know what the headlines would say. It would say, such and such name, white domestic terrorist, right? A white supremacist commits act of racism against Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. Like, they wouldn't hold back, right? And you would never, ever, ever hear the end of it. We hear that person's name every single day. We have an accurate description of that person, right? They wouldn't be blaming no SUV, right? We'd also know the names of the victims as well. We know this because look at the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, right? And what happened there? They're saying Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist, right? And his victims are civil rights heroes, right? Now his says say their names, right? But what I'm not hearing is say their names for any of the innocent victims who don't have violent criminal histories that died as a result of this act of violence, right? From Mr. Darrell Brooks. I'm not hearing anything about those victims. Joe Biden won't even go visit them. And not only that, you also got people that's actively trying to raise money to bail the dude out of jail, right? So again, that's the real sad part about this whole thing, is that in a sane society, we should not have the mainstream liberal media trying to cover up for this incident, right? Trying to sweep it on the rug, trying to pretend like it didn't happen. We shouldn't have people trying to raise money for these people. We shouldn't have people trying to make excuses for these people, right? And this is something that we should be talking about a whole lot more, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're living in a sane society anymore. It seems like our society is really giving away to the extremists on the progressive left, who don't believe in personal responsibility, who don't believe in punishing criminals, and who basically, in my opinion, seems like they want a lawless society. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.